Well, as you can see, I'm back here at the Parts View workbench with my good buddy Dave Ferrell. And Dave,
Yes, sir.
I know you love catching triple tails. They're all throughout the Gulf of America.
Yeah, they're a big deal around where I live. So we catch a lot of big ones, and but right now is the time to catch them in Texas. You know, the springtime. They move out into the Gulf in some areas, and in Matagorda area, the springtime they move into the bay, and so there's a lot of them in Matagorda Bay this time of year, all the way through September. So that's a good place to get them. A triple tail is a weird looking fish. He looks like a giant crappie kind of.
Correct.
He's got a big dorsal lobe and a big anal fin, so it gives him that look that he has three tails, and that's why he's called a triple tail.
Right.
Now he spins. When he's little, they get in schools, big schools, and they'll get around piles of rope or any kind of debris offshore. You'll find
they like things floating. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
they like to hang around floating things because that's how they eat. They're an ambush predator, and what they'll do is they'll pretend like they're a piece of that flotsam or whatever's floating in the water, and they'll float head down and just sit right up close to it, the buoy, the bucket, whatever it is. And when all the other little fish come and try to get in that bucket shadow to get some shelter, they get eaten because the triple tail is waiting for them. And when they're small, they're kind of like a yellowish black color. But by the time they get big, time we were wanting to go after them, they get to be like a blackish gray and sometimes pure black color, because they lay right on the surface, and that black color protects their skin and everything from the sun, because they're laying in the sun all the time.
Right.
And what happens is it turns the triple tail into pretty much a buzzsaw all the way around. His skin is very thick.
Right.
He's got spines and stuff all over him. His dorsal spines and his pec fins, his gill covers, everything are sharp, incredibly sharp. So when you go to clean one of these things, which you're going to want to do because they are really good to eat, when you want to clean one of these things, make sure you have a really sharp knife and a way to keep it sharp. Now, when we're catching them, they love to eat shrimp, crabs, even little pieces of cut bait. You can put a little piece of cut bait on a jig head, and they'll eat it just as soon as they will a live shrimp. But these gulp shrimp work really great as well. Put them on a jig head. Put them on a jig head under a popping cork.
Right.
A triple tail, when they're sitting next to their structure or whatever, they like to have that, whatever you're presenting as bait, they like it right in their face.
Right.
They don't like to swim around for their bait. Although I've had them come and eat stuff when I'm trolling, believe it or not, come skipping across the water like a frisbee and smack a trolling lure, but that's very rare. I've also had them eat big ballyhoos, when we've come up on a big piece of sargassum, because these triple tail will hang around that sargassum weed. And I've actually thrown ballyhoo to them that I've been trolling all day. And a big triple tail, once they get over 5 or 6 pounds, they will eat a whole ballyhoo for sure. But most of the ones we're catching, 5-6 pounders, they're going to want to eat a little jig like this, something that represents a small little bait fish of some sort, a little white bait. They love to eat little pinfish and shrimp, and that little bucktail does
little
that.
bucktails.
Yeah, and this is a great hook to use, a nice offset trocar Lancet offset hook. I think that's a TK3.
Right.
It's TK3.
TK5.
Yeah, TK. Well, it's a 5/0.
A 3, but 5/0. You're
That's right.
correct. I was incorrect. Sorry.
So anyway, you need a hook that's pretty stout, because these fish fight really hard, even for their size, because they use their flat sides against you during the fight. They'll turn over, roll over on their side, and really dog on you and try to get down on you and
they jump too. Those big ones will jump.
They will. They certainly will. They're very curious fish. They're like when you come up next to a buoy or something, sometimes they'll swim out to the boat and try to get a look at you. And you can chum them up really good. They'll if you start to get them eating chum, you'll catch every one that you see.
Right.
But usually you don't see a bunch of big ones in one spot. There's one here, there's one there. They're loners.
Right.
So they're going to be hanging around by themselves, by one of these oil platforms or one of
Right.
these rigs or any of these sort of stuff because they're going to be trying
Very
to hide.
structure oriented.
Yeah, they love to hide and wait. And, you know, any kind of bass gear is good for them. You know, 20-pound test fluorocarbon
Right.
leader,
Right.
15-pound test braid, and a nice, you know, inshore bait caster like that Revo. will
Yeah,
catch
with
them.
20 pounds of drag.
Yeah,
Works
that's 25
really well.
pounds of drag that
Well,
little thing has.
I knew that.
You
right,
knew
Bree.
that. And
All
boy,
right, Bree.
you know, triple tail, they're not the prettiest fish, but they are so good to eat.
They're so good to eat.
So good.